Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna do another video following my previous video where I talk about why I decided to switch from Vercel and Supabase to going into self-hosting on my own VPS, my own applications. So today is gonna be a definitive full guide. Try to make it as fast as possible so that you guys can start saving on costs and benefit from it. So. Basically, let's start. So first things first, you're gonna want to do is we're gonna use Coolify, and Coolify is basically a CI/CD pipeline server tool for our use that we're gonna benefit from. But it can do a whole lot of things. So deploy different apps, not only Supabase or Next.js, but deploy whatever app you want. But in our case, we're going to use the Supabase and Next.js stack. And the final result is going to be something like this. So you have your full website. This is hosted on my VPS right now. And we have a full OAuth setup. So basically, you can sign in with Google, send emails, and everything. So this is something that we're going to check out. Definitely before the video start, guys, if you guys like this type of content, please subscribe, like, post a comment about what you're gonna want to see in the future, and otherwise, let's get right into it. So the final result we're gonna want to achieve is something like that. So we have here our setup where we have Coolify deployed on our VPS, and we have two different resources in our Coolify setup. So we have the website, which is an Next.js app right here, and we have the Supabase instance right here that is deployed via Docker Compose. And this is hosted on VPS, which for myself it's Namecheap, but you can use whatever you want. Personally, I started up with the 2 cores, 2 gigs of RAM VPS, but it wasn't strong enough to build the NPM packages and everything. So I upgraded to the KSR, and anyway, like when the traffic is gonna scale, you're gonna need to have something bigger. So I suggest taking something like that, um, and you'll be good to go. So let's start by installing Coolify. So the first thing you're gonna want to do when installing Coolify is run this simple command. So once you've logged into your VPS, so I'll just connect my VPS like that here. Just run a command right here. I've already done it, so for myself it's already done. But what you can do is then copy your public IP, and then you can just go to port 8000 as soon as that is done. Then they're gonna ask you to basically create an account. For myself, I already created an account, so you can just click login right here. And when you do that, you're gonna arrive right here at the dashboard. What you're gonna see is basically the servers you have. So you're gonna have your localhost server right here. It shows you different things, so infos, destination, proxies, so whatever you want to use. But the first thing we're gonna want to do is add a new project. So for ourselves, I already have my BookQuest project, but we can click on add and name it whatever you want. So you have test, let's say test, and say this is a cool project, and we're gonna click enter. And then you have inside this project, you're now inside this project, you have the choice to create environment. So this is where if you wanted to have a production development environment, personally I do my development locally on localhost, so I don't need this kind of separation. But if you do, feel free to create another environment and divide your environments in two. But for our sake, we're going to just click on production. And first thing we're going to want to do is basically add a new resource. And what you're going to want to do if you have a Next.js repo hosted on GitHub is basically click on private repository with GitHub app. And basically, if you don't have an app yet, you're just going to have to click add GitHub app, the name and everything, choose your organization, and select your repository. Once that is done, you're gonna have right here the select GitHub app option. You're gonna want to click on it and load the repository. And what this will do is basically start installing in your project the Next.js repo like that inside of here. So you can do that. Let's do that. I'm gonna come here, click right here. We're gonna load the repository. So we have the repositories right here. We have our different repository. I can choose Book Journey, which is my repository, like that. And then after that, you're gonna need to choose your branch. So for myself, I'm using the main branch. So we're just gonna choose the main branch. But again, if you have different development environments, you can choose the development branch or something. For the build packs, I use Nixpacks, which is basically a railway extension. So railway.app, which is another supplier. And it basically makes the building process much easier. Or you could choose static if you want to build a static website, but for myself, I don't want. And then you can choose the internal port, which your application listens inside the Docker container. So don't be mistaken with the port is going to listen from the outside to connect to your domain. Really inside the Docker container. And like I said, if you want to do a static website, you can also do that. So select that to your ease. Then after that, we're just going to click continue. And what it's going to do is basically create the resource. As you can see, so test one, production, and then you have your repo right here. It's going to create a default name and a default domain that it's going to assign you, which you can check right here. So as you can see right now, the app is not started, but we can see that we have a 404 not found, so the domain works. And then you have multiple options, right? So you could use a Docker registry. So you could basically, each time you build, you update the image on the Docker registry, which makes build times longer. But in my case, I did it just for redundancy. Then after that, you could change your build command. So for myself, I had a problem where when I was using Bun to build my application, I had problems with basically the build, weird errors. So if you guys have some problem, just change that to npm install and just use npm anywhere because Bun can sometimes be hard to manage. Base directory, this is where if you have different projects in your repo, so for example, you have I don't know, a server subdirectory and another like front-end directory, you could change that to point to your Next.js app. And you have other basically options which we're not going to use in this case. We're then going to walk off to right here, which you can change some things. So we could force HTTPS, which we're going to want to do. You could check preview deployment. So with Coolify, you have the option to use it like Vercel. So what that allows you to do is basically use it as a CI/CD pipeline, where each time you push to a certain branch, it's gonna push basically a new version of your application once it finished building. Then we have environment variables. So environment variables are all your build variables versus your variables you can use inside your app. So you can put that anywhere. You can add them via here, or if you have a lot of them, I suggest just clicking on the developer view where you can just copy and paste your application variables, and just make sure to save all the variables and rebuild to apply. You also have a very nice option to set storages. So this is where there's storage in your volumes, your Docker volumes that it's going to keep. It's going to appear right here when you have storages that are already set, which, for example, you want to rebuild from scratch and delete all non-persistent persistent storage that you want to replace. you could just remove it from here. Right now we haven't created a build, so we don't have this. And then after that, this is where the thing becomes to become very interesting, right? So basically, we have our repository, and we can change the branch where we want to fetch the commits from, and then we can choose the commit SHA. But in my case, I'm still using the main with the add commit, so I don't care. And then this is where Coolify is becoming very interesting, is that you can add multiple servers to an application. So for example, you're building a server, you want redundancy between servers. You could use many servers to pool your resources, and then you have fallback servers when one goes down and the other can fall back to it. So this is very nice. For the sake of the video, we're just going to do one server. Then you could add some scheduled tasks, so cron jobs, which could be whatever. So it could be a cache cleanup job, it could be, I don't know, any cron jobs. So this is something very cool that is going to be run inside the container of your Next.js application. You have the webhooks URL, which you could use to do multiple interaction with your app. So this is something very nice also you could take a look at. Preview deployments. So this is if you activated the preview deployments option. For my case, I don't use it because I deploy straight to production. But if you want to check it, feel free to use it. We have the L check. So this is basically a cron job that I execute each amount of time to check if the server is still running. And this allows you to get the status right here of your deployment. We have rollback, so this is where when you build images locally, it keeps another version of it. Each time you rebuild, you're going to have the opportunity to roll back to your previous image you've built. You could also set limits of resources. So in my case, for my VPS, I have let's go with sudo btop. So I have about 6 gigs of RAM, and I have 4 cores. So in your case, if your server is more or less powerful, you could limit basically the usage of RAM or something. Just make sure that you have enough resources to run your application, otherwise it's going to just shut down. So take care of that. I also suggest just before we continue on that to check your swap. So I suggest adding some swap to your application. I add a command right here on checking swap. So I have the command right here. So we have it right here. So I created a swap disk of 2 gigs basically, just to add it by default. We don't have swap, so I added it just to make sure that we add some. So you can definitely do that. Just go on Google, type how to add swap. You create a small swap disk and you mount it. Because sometimes the applications and Docker need some swap to function properly. So that's for that. And then after that, what you can do is check the other options. So we have other options where you can manage your redundancy between your resources, your metrics, your tags, and danger zone where you can delete your project, but we don't want to do that. So this is for the configuration page. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Options are pretty nice. You can also change your domain. So if you've pointed your domain to the server, in my case, I'm using Cloudflare. So let's just go to the dashboard real quick. And when you're using Cloudflare, what you're going to want to do is basically, let's go to my book quest, DNS records. And what you're going to want to do is basically set A records to whatever IP of your server you have. So in my case, I have the this public IP, um, and I simply point it with my domain mybookers.com to this IP. So you could do a record like that, use A for root, and you put the full IP of your server. And then after that, I have another subdomain for managing my UI, another subdomain for Supabase, which you can already add, and a forward to www. So this is something you might check also. So that's for that. And then after that, what we're gonna want to see is the other tab. So deployments, right now we don't have any deployments, so that's normal. Um, we have the logs of the server. So since we didn't have any instance started, we don't have any logs yet. You also have the terminal page, which you're going to be able to interact with your container once it's launched. And you have the link basically of the application. So we're just going to launch a build for now. So we're going to click deploy. And what you're going to want to see is basically the deployment process starting. So as you can see, it's starting to import the repository. And you see it right now, it's going to use Nixpack, and it's going to start building. So I'm just going to stay on that, and we'll just come back when the process finishes. All right, so like I was saying earlier when I was talking about the configuration, this is the error I was getting at. So as you can see right here, you can see that there's an error when building with Bun. So BunJS, if you guys don't know, is basically a faster node instance. So basically you can see here the error you want to see is process bin bash ol pipefail bun run build did not complete successfully exit code 132. So this is the error I was talking earlier about. And I've searched for it across the internet and I never found an answer. So finally what I ended up doing is basically reverting to npm build. So you go into configuration, and like I was saying, you're going to want to use npm install, npm run build, and npm start, and click save. And then you're going to start to want to rebuild the process with basically force deploy. So we're going to do force deploy, and we'll be back right after the build is finished. So I just run another build, and as you can see, there's another error, and I totally forgot to tell you guys about this, but make sure you have set up your Next Public Supabase URL and Next Public Supabase anon key, because otherwise you don't have communication with your database, and they won't let you build because it's required to initialize the client. So I'll just do that, and I'll come right back after the build. All right, guys. So right now, our first deployment, our first finished deployment has worked. So as you can see, it took 255 seconds, but since it was the first build, it's way longer than when you're using cache, since we used the force deploy without cache to deploy. So as you can see, we see it right here, generating Nixpack configurations. Then after that, we see it built the Docker image, and it basically rolled the new Docker container and removed the previous one by keeping the volumes, but just changing the image. So once that is done, your front end should be working. We're just gonna go to configuration, and we're gonna use the default domain they use right here, and I already opened it, so we're just gonna paste the URL. And as you can see, this is my front end, so everything is working, images are there, whatever. So everything is there, modes, everything. So once this is done, basically your front end is basically all set up, and this is where we're gonna start to move towards the Supabase interface. All right, so continuing right now, as we can see, we have the green status on our resource for the front end. So basically what we're going to do now is just add a new resource by clicking new in our project directory, and we're just going to add the Supabase instance, and you have multiple options for this. Personally, I just use Supabase by searching in here for it. and using the Supabase service right here, or you could simply use the Docker Compose option. But for myself, I use the Supabase option right here. So I just left click on the services for Supabase right here. And as you can see, we're getting some weird errors, but I don't think that's a problem. As you can see, it started to create all the containers right here. Uh, and basically, what you're gonna want to do is basically do a few settings before just before you um, set this up. Um, but for right now, the reason we're getting those errors is that I already have those Docker containers running because of my actual MyBookQuest website. So this is the reason why I'm getting those log errors. So basically, you're gonna have a few things once you've created the service stack. You're gonna have your Minio admin credentials, your Supabase dashboard credentials, and you're gonna have your database password. So let's just try to start the stack, and we'll see if we can, even if our other website is running. Just never mind those errors. So as you can see, what it's doing right now, it's pulling all the containers and everything, and basically creating those containers, and we can just exit the logs right here. So initially it's going to appear as degraded like right here, but you can see they're going to start coming up as green right here. So just going to take a little while. I'll come back once all the containers are LT. So right now we got some errors with every container related to Minio, which is a package available on the Docker Hub and everything. So basically the error we're gonna get, and this is only gonna happen if your VPS has an older CPU and doesn't support the architecture x86 and 64 V2. So in my case, I don't know which CPU they're using, but this is an error that I was banging my head for like a few hours trying to understand what happened. But if you do LSCPU on your VPS KVM, you can see that the architecture is x86 64, but it's not the V2 version, which is required for the packages used in the basically in the Docker package. So what I ended up doing when I was deploying with MyBookQuest is you're gonna have to go to service stack, edit compose file, Control F, and search for Minio. And as you can see, they're using the Minio slash Minio package, and that redirects them to basically the latest release, which is the .fips release. But for our sake, if you guys have the problem with the V2 not supported, you're just gonna have to type V1 right here and search for the latest release for Minio, and just go replace it inside of here. So at the end of the image, add this like that. And for same thing for Minio/MC, find the latest V1 right here, and you just save that. And just to make sure there's no other Minio instances, containers, just like that. So yeah, we got those two set up. And yeah, so those were the only two Minio containers. So what you're gonna want to do after that is just stop. So you're gonna stop the whole process. It's gonna basically Docker compose down all the containers, stop them. You're gonna have to do force cleanup. So click force cleanup, and that's basically gonna empty the cache of the containers. And after that, you're ready to press deploy. And where we had this dependency error before because of the Minio container, we're just gonna have a succeed this time. So right now they're gonna download the containers. Same thing. Supabase started. Supabase Minio started, which was the container that was giving us errors. Waiting started everything. You can see that Supabase Minio is LT, which is a good sign, which means we fixed the error. And if we go check the logs for Supabase Minio, which you can access from the configuration logs section, you're gonna have the Supabase Minio. You can refresh the logs, and as you can see, it's running fine. So this is very nice. We can see the service stack, and the containers are starting to become green. So this is a good sign. You can see right here. And pretty soon we should have the Supabase dashboard UI accessible. So if we go into the settings of Supabase Kong, and we take this URL, and already it's available, so we're just gonna write to this page, and it's gonna ask us our dashboard username and password. So we're gonna come here, and as you can see, we have the dashboard user right here. So we paste that in, and we take this here, the dashboard password, and we go to sign in. And as you guys can see, we just arrived to our brand new own Supabase dashboard, where we have everything we need. So we have the logs, we have the database with the tables, the auth tables. So we got everything right here. Brand new database ready to be used. And yeah, so basically this is how you create your Supabase UI and everything, and after that you can change the domain. So as you can see, for myself I used Supabase as a subdomain, so it would be supabase.mybookquest. Just right here, supabase.mybookquest right here, and you're going to arrive to your project. So yeah, you just have to use a name record with the name you want to give for your Supabase dashboard, and point it to the server. And after that, what you're going to want to do is come into your Supabase Kong instance and basically change the domain name right here to fit whatever you chose to use for accessing your UI. So yeah, so basically this is very nice. Those are gonna stay there for right now because they're not being used for storage, because storage is not activated in the environment variables. Um, a few things to note if you guys want to know. For myself, I wanted to make my database accessible from the outside, so basically I could remote connect via the Postgres PSQL instance. So what you can do is go to Supabase DB container, click settings, and what you can do is make it publicly available. But the problem is that you need to select the public port and make sure the port is not already used by a local Postgres instance or another container. So in my case, I already use 5432, so I'm going to use 5433, and you're going to be able to access it via the URL. But there's another thing to consider. If you do that, you're going to want to go to your Docker Compose and go to Postgres right here. And what you're going to want to do is basically expose your port, so just like that, and you're going to want to do something like this with 5433 with 5432, which is going to allow basically to expose your Postgres database to the outside. Just make sure if you do that to have a firewall set up, everything else set up, because that's pretty dangerous. And yeah, so that's basically how you get your PostgreSQL database exposed to the network. And then after that, you just have to restart the services without cache to rebuild the containers, and you're gonna be able to access your Postgres database. Just use the database name, the password, and the user. So the default database name is Postgres, the default user is Postgres, and the password is retrieved right here on the dashboard. Now, one thing I want to note is basically the part for OAuth. So what happens with OAuth is that you basically want to configure the OAuth because if you see in the platform as a service instance of Supabase, you have the option to configure your providers, your rate limits, your email templates, your hooks, your URL configuration. But one thing that is not available on the self-hosted instance of Supabase is the authentication configuration. So as you can see, those configuration options are missing. And what I found out is that it's pretty much the only thing that is not available to set up for via the UI of Supabase self-hosted. So what you're going to want to do, you can go to the GitHub of Supabase Go Through, which is the guide for self-hosting the authentication. So Supabase Go Through, not Go Through GS. It's going to be Supabase Hot, like that. So Supabase Hot. Well, let's just go to GitHub/Supabase, like that. And what you're going to want to do is search for auth, or let's go through, I think. Go through Supabase, like that. Then Docker. Where is it? Yeah, so you have the go through package. And from the go through package, they kind of tell you how you can do it when it's self-hosted. So as you can see, you're going to have to add a few environment variables. So for myself, one thing I wanted to do is, since I wanted to have the magic link support, I needed to add those environment variables to specify different SMTP credentials, because if you don't specify those, you won't be able to send emails, which is something I wanted to do. And another thing is, if you plan on using OAuth, you're gonna want to use the environment variables for a certain type of provider. So we have different options, but for ourselves, it's gonna be Google, because this is the one I wanted to use. So in the auth/example.env, they give you all the options. So for myself, I use Google, so I use the pattern they've used. So we specify the redirect URL, the secret, the client ID, and if it's enabled. So it's the same thing as setting it right here and in the provider section. So your redirect URLs are basically those ones, and you basically add them with a comma, and basically what it's going to do is allow you to use Google as a provider. So the SMTP in the Google OAuth setup is very important, and make sure that when you go to your cloud, Google, go to Google Cloud, in your identification right here, and then you can select your JavaScript origins. So the JavaScript origin is basically the part where you select which URLs are allowed to for redirection, and redirection right here, so for your callback. So this is for me, but for you it might be different, so make sure to check that out. Alright guys, so the last thing you're going to want to do when both of those things are done, is just basically make sure you have your DNS record set straight. Update your URLs in both Supabase and your Next.js dashboard of your projects, your two resources. Another thing to do is go change your dummy public URLs for your database so that you actually connect to your own database and not the hosted Supabase one from the Supabase free plan. And after that, that's pretty much it, guys. So if there's anything that's unclear, make sure to let me know in the comments. And otherwise, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and that allowed you to save some money on your self-hosting for your own indie projects. Tell me what you're gonna build with Coolify, what you're gonna host. I'm pretty interested in. Guys, please subscribe if you would like. That's helping the channel a lot. We're going for 1,000 subscribers, so I'll see you guys in the next one.